Hello and welcome to Inside Music Curation. We are back. We're the team at Feed Media Group. We help businesses license music for apps. And today we're talking about a topic that's very near and dear to us, which is music-led growth, and talking about why this strategy, this concept is an important piece of a product person's toolkit. And so I imagine the big question anyone tuning in might be wondering is, what is music-led growth? So Lauren, I'd love for you to kick us off and describe the concept behind music-led growth.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So really, music-led growth is an engagement strategy. At the end of the day, it is so challenging to keep your users' attention. Customer acquisition costs continue to go up, and app developers, brand owners, product folks are finding they need more tools to keep users engaged. So music-led growth really helps create more immersive experiences using music, not just as background, but really integrated seamlessly, and the selection is data-driven. So the idea is once you get that user in the door, let music help you keep them.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And, music-led growth is something that's been really, important to us for a long time. We've been talking a lot about the ROI on music, and that's because we see it, time and time again with customers at Feed FM. They're integrating music and they're seeing longer session times, longer retention times. This is powerful stuff when it's done right.
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with customers in so many different verticals and segments over the years, and we've always approached music as being a business tool, not just a brand or perception changing tool. So it's, it is sort of in our DNA that we're thinking about the integration of music and how that impacts your bottom line. And music-led growth is kind of the evolution of that.
And I think one thing that's related to this as the head of our curation team is that we're not just talking about music for enjoyment, and we know how amazing music for enjoyment is, and it's a important part of all of our lives, right? That we derive gratification and joy from music. This is really about really intentionally placing music that is contextually appropriate in ways that are supporting desired outcomes. And this is something that brick and mortar retail has done for decades and decades and perfected, right? The art of using the right kind of music in the supermarket to have a desired outcome, or the right kind of music in a fast food restaurant versus like a sit down high scale restaurant. That's something that there's years of research in that space. And so we've migrated those findings, and then we've built atop those new findings of how music can contextually be used, right? And it ultimately it is going to be gratifying and enjoyable, and it also is going to drive desired outcomes.
That research is so fun. Play French music in a wine shop and you sell more French wine. Like, we are very predictable in some ways as humans. So interesting, though, there's reams of data around music's impact in a physical experience to drive results, but that translation into digital environments just hasn't happened. And if you think about why, it's quite simple to license music to play as background in a retail environment. When you move it into the digital landscape, things get way more complicated.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point also, that, intrinsically we know that music has power, right? But, when we're talking music-led growth, like, this is a business story. This is, what business outcomes can we achieve through music? And I think the biggest challenge for most apps or digital businesses out there right now is this race for attention, right? Like, how do you get your app the coveted spot on the home screen? How do you keep your app there? And it's tough. Like, it is an uphill battle if you are launching an app right now to cut through the noise. The amount of apps coming out on a daily basis, the likeliness that you're going to get deleted, it's grim, honestly.
Well, there are so many variables that go into being able to break out of that noise. You have to be really fast. If you download an app and you're waiting for it to that first open after install and it takes a minute, forget it. It's not going to work. Super fast, has to have constantly updated content, lots of fresh, engaging content, needs to connect with all your other 500 apps on your phone, needs to be very personalized. There's just a lot that goes into creating something really compelling.
Needs to be essential. I think that's something that we talk about a lot with music-led growth is, moving an app or moving a digital experience from something that's nice to have to something that's need to have, right?
Mhm.
And the perception of the end user that, they have, taking fitness for an example, we do a lot of work with fitness customers, fitness companies. They have countless options, right? And these days, there are really high caliber digital fitness offerings out there. And so, loading up your app with a bunch of them is nice to have, but what's need to have, right? Like I need to have this one. And music, we know and we show, over and over again with across different types of fitness customers that the music increases the stickiness, right? It increases the amount that customers will come back to it over and over and over again versus just another app that's in there for a month or two and eventually gets deleted because we probably only go to the second page of our smartphones most of the time, right?
Yeah, and I think when you look at, the retention rates is the to me the most powerful graph in this, in that, you get your downloaders, somebody's downloading your app, and now you have, a 7% chance that they still have your app 10 days later, and a less than a 2% chance that they're there 90 days. And thinking back again to the retention reports that we've run with Feed FM customers that are, seeing 3x, or more in their D90 retention, like that's a very powerful mover.
Yeah, I mean, so we work with a lot of subscription businesses, but actually, no matter what your monetization model is, if a customer sticks around longer, either you're getting the subscription revenue, they're viewing more ads, they're upgrading or doing in-app purchases. So in every business model for any digital experience, that retention number is crucial.
Yeah. And I think that's why we see some of the top apps out there, music is a big part of their plan. It's a part of their strategy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Calm got a lot of press for leveraging popular stars to actually not listen to pop, but to help you calm down, go to sleep. I listen to a lot of their sleep stories. Some of the ones read by celebrities are pretty good, but the idea of bringing in these personalities and these voices to change your mind state in a positive way was pretty fresh and new at the time. We know everyone's heard Peloton stories. And Fortnite's really interesting because it's, they're getting a lot of recognition for doing more than just playing music in the background. It is integrated in really smart ways and promoting new artists. And, it is certainly more integral to the experience than people expected initially.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah,
also,
go ahead.
These highlights, sorry, Melissa, what these highlights call out, or these headlines, excuse me, is the power of not only celebrity, but pop musicians, right? Like these are major label, marquee, brand name artists that, royalty-free music can be sometimes useful, but more times than not, people want major label, right? There's a huge difference, right? And we play all over the musical ecosystem and we can accommodate needs from throughout that whole entire ecosystem. But, at the end of the day, like pop is top, and what that means are marquee artists with songs that people know and love. Yeah. Or artists that people know and love doing something different, like what they've done with Calm so cleverly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it comes back to context, right? And that's where looking at the data, understanding what's going to be both most impactful for the user and also mapping to your budget. That's the magic, is doing both.
Yeah, finding the right music for the right person at the right time that fits your budget, all a part of the strategy kind of behind music-led growth. And then it all also comes back to, why music itself works. And when you understand, the biology of music, when you understand our emotional connection to it, you're able to kind of move the levers in whatever way you need, whether that's dialing up the pop or bringing in functional music that, does not have recognizable lyrics to achieve wellness outcomes. It's really fun to dive into, how music works and why it works. And, it blows my mind all the time thinking about the fact that wellness, has the power to change your mood. It can bring you from one, point A to point B. And whether that's I'm struggling today and I need to get amped up and get this workout in and move forward, or I'm feeling high anxiety today. I need to chill out. I need to calm down, move forward. Like music can do that. And it's so powerful. It's been so fun to explore with our advisors and really dive into the science behind music.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible that it's both there's physiological response, but then also the behavioral piece, like Sten was talking about with regards to fitness and keeping you coming back and pushing through that workout. So the fact that it can do both is pretty powerful medium.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time thinking about and talking about and synthesizing findings. I mean, as a curator, I never thought that I would get the privilege to learn so much about how the brain works when it comes to music. And I'm not going to fill in for your, regular neuroscientist, but I know a lot more about how the brain works now than I did before I had this job, because there are physiological dimensions of music, regardless of your genres, that have for eons affected us in certain ways physiologically. Those neural pathways they're built, they're completely dug in, and knowing and respecting those and using those with integrity is part of what makes the job fun, and it also delivers the right ROI. And so I think actually, music is often treated as kind of an afterthought, but because it's not as well understood, it's getting more and more understood every year through the science. The amount of science that's backing the music is increased exponentially over even the last 20 years. And one other point about music is that it is so uniquely suited to background and experience without dominating it. So there are very few mediums or things that you can add into without detracting from the central thing. So we are all about backgrounding whatever the experience is. And there really aren't any other things you can think of besides music that just does that. You take what it is and you put it in, and it's more so without obscuring the main message. So it's really powerful. And I don't think we've ever had a customer walk back and say, "Oh, I got a piece out because the music isn't performing." Like, any churn we've experienced has never fallen under the framework of the music isn't working.
I really love the work that your team is doing to take the science that is emerging now, constantly all the time changing and evolving, and figure out how to use that to curate music experiences at scale for many millions of users. It's not, I mean, it's pretty path breaking and really, really fun to watch.
100%.
Well, the
So
one
let's,
other thing we have really quickly, which is so cool, which we've had for 2 years, is specifically when it comes to wellness or functional music, the fact that we have now 25 incredible producers slash composers that we have now 3,000 tracks that we have fully commissioned. It's called Feed Originals. These are incredible musicians. And over the past year, we've taken music parameters about what kind of music helps you fall asleep quickly, what kind of music is best for relaxation, what kind of music is best for focus. And we've taken the science, translated it into musical terms, handed it to these composers, and they've given us backtracks to spec. So we're doing it with the integrity that we're not just, and usually it reinforces our gut instincts, right? But sometimes it doesn't. And so we're not going with gut instinct. We're actually working with a Stanford professor in neuroscience, and we're commissioning to spec music that is aligned to wellness outcomes. So that's actually the most exciting part of what my curation team is doing right now, is path breaking into wellness functional music that is not vibey, but scientifically appropriate.
yeah, it's exciting. We've talked a little bit about, how the team here at Feed FM and Feed Media Group is able to, do this at scale for lots of customers and many end users. The great thing about using music in digital experiences is that you can offer your end users different experiences. You can offer a menu of options. It doesn't have to be a one size fits all background music or music experience. So there are more levers that we can kind of pull to really hone in on personalization and creating the desired experience than you would get in a physical environment. So it's really exciting to see where this is going and the data that we're going to have to work with moving forward. When you think about, maybe someone that doesn't have all the resources, like where would someone start if they wanted to, use a music-led growth as part of their product strategy?
Well, it's not been easy traditionally. The way licensing works is just really on different timelines than most app developers are following. If they're, for example, average time to market for an app is 6 months, whereas to negotiate a major label deal can take over a year quite often. So they're like, just the distribution and getting access to the music is just now kind of catching up with how product folks, brands, et cetera, want to use it in digital experiences. And we've been helping with that. So there's kind of 3 big issues, right? So the first is actually procuring deals, licensing the music. It's pretty complex. There's no global copyright law. Each use cases vary depending on where you want your listeners to listen to music and how they can interact with it. So it gets complicated really quickly. It's also, the work that Stens and his team do to integrate all the performance data over millions of users, to understand what's hot on the charts, to have different context, more context than an algorithm can give you. That selection piece of the music is so important. And then like actually dealing with all of it as a business. Are you going to build streaming, distribution, making sure that rights change hands a lot. So making sure that you're constantly reacting to that and not playing anything illegally. So it's quite complicated, which is why we've been working really hard for the last several years to actually, build out a platform that handles all of those challenges for an app or developer. And it's a unified music system. The unification piece is, I think, important because there are individual solutions that can touch pieces of these challenges if you do want to figure out how to integrate music into your app or experience. But it generally takes time to assemble those. It's expensive, still takes a lot of internal management. So what we're really excited about and actually seeing some really great results for our customers on is just all-in-one pre-cleared catalogs. It's a mix of major label, indie, and royalty-free music. That some of that specifically developed for wellness and focus and functional music, as Sten said. The content management system is really important because you have to then clean up all those files. Music metadata is a notorious challenge for folks, everyone. So clean that all up, select it, curate it, know how to send it out to the users. And then there's the, actual paying the rights holders. That is can be very tricky and sticky situation that you do not want to mess up. So we're really excited about bringing the compliance, the optimization, and all the strategy work together.
Yeah, it's a mountain to climb for sure, but there are resources. One of them, and I think when you think about the strategy portion of it as well, and if you're new to this concept of music-led growth, I think thinking about the data-driven curation is a very interesting part to start exploring. And maybe, Stens, you want to talk just a little bit about how we, help businesses start to think about their music strategy when they know that they want to integrate music. Like, what does that entail? What does that beginning process look like?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there are these frictions and barriers to entry, which our company and a very small amount of others will do with a unified music system, where we overcome all of these complexities, right? So we can provide the music-led growth. And then, once you as a company are in a position to actually fulfill on a unified music system, what does that mean for you? Well, we talk always with our business customers first about their business goals. We talk about the user experience improvement that they want to create, right? Specifically, contextually, what's going on, and how do we magnify and enhance that. And then we can only with those contextual pieces, right? Like the branding of the company in general and the specific use cases that they're thinking about music for, only then can we really start talking about music strategy. But we get our partners through those conversations quickly because we've done it many times, right? We know what parts of the demographics we need, what parts of the psychographics do we need, like things of that nature. We can get it down pretty quickly. And then the tech integration, we spend a lot of time talking. We have a big product and engineering team, and they spend a lot of their time talking to companies, product and engineering teams, and making it as streamlined as possible. And we bear the brunt of all of that tech integration on our end, right, to make it a white label solution where we come in and it's all still about your brand. You don't even really see us, but we're there and we serve the music. And then optimization, that's actually key. So a lot of times with other businesses that think about music, it's like a one and done thing, but that's not the way the world works, right? And so especially the pop landscape, but for any landscape, people aren't going to come back and necessarily want to hear 6 months later, 8 months later, 9 months later what it is. So actually our team, we have a pretty sizable curation team. We spend the majority of our time going in once a month to all of our business customers, and one by one we do a refresh. We take stuff out, we put stuff in, we use proprietary playback analytics, we look at actual end user behavior. And the nice thing about that too is when you aggregate it across an industry like fitness, you start to derive really powerful and amazing tools, right? Like Justin Bieber doesn't play here, or Kylie Minogue plays here, or even more broader takeaways, like we thought that this ambient music would work great here, but actually people don't want that. They want they want reggaeton. Like you start to really figure out what people want, right? And so my job is not about my taste. My job is about understanding your taste and being as adept as possible at quickly serving up to you what music that is taste appropriate to you in the context. And it's a lot of fun. It's like being a musical detective.
I love that. Well, I know we're coming up close on time, but I just want to bring it back and, music-led growth, for anyone that's familiar with product-led growth, right? It really goes to, the heart of product design, user experiences, designing features that, helps your product, gain virility and gain word of mouth growth. And music is such a powerful driver. Lauren, how would you elaborate on that, and how music can really add to that strategy or deepen that strategy around product-led growth?
Well, we have been talking about the power of music and what an incredible medium it is on so many different levels: visceral connections, behavioral and physiological changes. I mean, it really works. And so if you start to think about all of the tools in your quiver, arrows in your quiver, that you can use to keep people engaged, there are things that we're familiar with: push notifications. We all get 50. That's the average, I think, is 49 a day for smartphone users in the US. Those things start to wear out. Certainly, video content is always a standby as well. But thinking about music as just one of that set of tools, and finding a partner to help you deploy it easily. That's the point.
Yeah. Stans, did you want to add to that?
Just the fact, I think that in providing a unified music system as a company, we take what we know is a delicious, amazing fruit, but that is a high-hanging fruit for most companies, and we turn that into a low-hanging fruit. So this is a low-hanging fruit music that we know is delicious and nutritious, and it's going to deliver ROI to you, guaranteed. And so unified music system is about how do you take advantage of that as quickly as possible. There's, lowering the barrier to entry for music-led growth is a big priority for our company, and we're really excited about more companies that can take advantage of it thanks to the UMS that we're building.
Yeah, I think again, right music, right person, right time, really can move mountains. We talked a lot about session times, retention, but what other levers can you pull with music? If you're looking to grow your audience, if you're looking to tap into new markets, wouldn't having music that resonated that market be an important part of that strategy? So I think we're only scratching the surface of what businesses can do with digital music and digital environments. We know for sure session retention, but there's so many more opportunities. So really looking forward to working with more companies and gathering more data and really building up the case studies around music-led growth, because I think that we're going to see some really exciting outcomes over the next couple of years as people really embrace this.
Well said. Cheers to that.
Awesome. All right. For more information, you can find us at feedmediagroup.com and feed.fm. Check out the links in the comments. We'd love to continue the conversation around music-led growth. And of course, we're always back here on Inside Music Curation, the first Wednesday of the month, talking all things music curation. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And thanks, Stens and Lauren, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.